And good evening. This is Mark from SineWave, and today I figured I would go over a quick tutorial on how to add and remove users from one of our routers that we use in the Edge kit. The router selection we're going with today is Cradlepoint. Their online platform is called NetCloud Manager, or NCM. And just so you know that we offer 4 different types of routers in our kits. One could be a Cradlepoint or a Peplink, Teltonica, or Sierra, also known as Semtech. So let's get started. And before I start, actually, we're going to do other videos. This one's going to be over adding users to your account and assigning roles and permissions. And we will go over other videos with other features of this. But for today, it's going to be accounts. So in the left-hand side here in NCM or NetCloud Manager, this is where we'll be working at. And as you can see here, as I am the system administrator under the SineWave account, and you can see what your account name is here in the top right-hand corner. So ours is sinewave.io. When you sign up and get your first device, you'll have to have a root admin or a system administrator, and that will be given to the folks at Cradlepoint before they ship out your device. If you already have an account, then they'll just assign it to your existing account. You can always open up a new one if you have it. It needs to be, for a different department or whatever, if they do their own procurements through a different department. But you can add it to your existing account, or you can create a whole new account. So with that, let's get started. So here, if we're going to add a person or add a user, we can click add, and you'll get update advisories here when they come out. Make sure you read those. So this person we're going to name John Doe. John.doe at, let's just say, Gmail. Now, what's the best practice is to have at least 2 system administrators per account, because once your main system administrator could get another job, he could go on PTO or take leave, or maybe he gets sick, right, all of a sudden. So you need someone there that can also act as a system administrator, and that really comes... big part of that comes into play if you have to call in, if you have to do any work through Cradlepoint with your account. If you don't have a system administrator and they just left, it's gonna be troublesome for you. You can overcome it, but best practice is to make 2 system administrators. We've seen in the past where people have had major delays on making any major account changes because of that. Think about, like, if you wanted to add new devices or have devices removed, or whatever, that could be a problem. So I would recommend 2 system administrators at least, which goes with this block right here. So this permissions block, with this checked, the only thing this really allows us, John in this case, to do is add or remove or edit users that are currently on the system. Without that, even if he is permissions-wise an administrator, he cannot add, edit, or remove users. So that's what that check block is for. The collaborator here is, if you were to click that, it would be people, in this case John, would be on another NCM account. So for example, if I am asked to come in and help you configure your system, or maybe you want me to do maintenance on it remotely, maybe you want me to do updates and whatnot, you would use me as a collaborator, or add me as a collaborator, because I already have an account that I am already assigned to, the sinewave.io account. You can then go down and select your timeout days, right? So select any of these, and then at that time I'll be removed, or John will be removed in this case. You can also go back, if you didn't want to wait 7 days, you can go back and just delete them out of there. But this is just automation that will take care of it for you. So let's go back and we'll make John a user. I'm going to leave this here and just go with the best practice, because I don't have another system administrator, so we will just leave this checked. We'll click add. John will pop up underneath me, but that's not where we're done. We're not done yet, right? So notice we can always disable John here. We don't have to necessarily delete him out. We can just disable them if that makes more sense. Obviously, you can delete them out if you want to, but this is a nice feature. So now that John is added, he does have access to log into our account. He cannot see anything. He doesn't have any permissions of any kind yet. So when he logs in, he's not going to see these items, this bar right here. He's not going to see any of these. In fact, when he logs in, it's going to tell him, big old sign here in the middle of the page, it's going to say, John, you don't have any permissions. So you can't do anything. So with that, let's assign John permissions. But before we do, let's look at roles. And this is, again, these roles are what we're going to use as the permissions. So if you want to know what the difference between an administrator is to full access user, it'll describe it right here. So you can read exactly what each one of these entail. We can also create a custom role, but for this tutorial, we're going to stick with one of these. In fact, we're going to use administrator because, again, I don't have a second administrator. So let's go to permissions. Now, this is our main account. Again, SineWave.io. These two are called sub-accounts. So a sub-account is think of it like if you had, I don't know, emergency management, right? Or maybe State Department. And you have Team A, Team B, and you want to assign a user only to that sub-account. And then we can later on add devices only in that sub-account. Me, as a system administrator, will be able to see everything, sub-accounts, just like I can see here. But for John, for example, who we just created, I can add him to the sub-account, so when he logs in, the only things that he sees is his own devices. So that's really nice. So if you're concerned about security, or even for the fact of making it simple for John to know, hey, everything you see here is yours, you can do whatever you want with it in terms of configuration. That's really nice for him because it simplifies things. He doesn't have to sift through pages and pages of devices depending on how many you have. I've seen some customers have hundreds and hundreds. So it helps him simplify his job. So that's also a good thing. But in this case, we're going to click your main account. If I'm going to assign John into a main account, that's what I'm going to click on. If I want to assign him into the sub account, I would click that particular sub account and then click add. But in this case, we're going to make John overarching user in the main SineWave account. You'll see this come up here, existing users. That's who we just created. We'll assign him a role. Again, I'm going to assign him administrator. And once again, if you want to know what these roles are, go back to this users and roles button here and then click on roles. I think it is in there as well. We'll click add and he'll pop up. Right there we go. So now John has an email in his inbox saying, hey, you've been added to this account and you can log in now. And when he logs in, he'll see everything that we have in our account. We can also edit him. If we made a mistake, we can change his role. And so that's nice, right? The other thing we can do now is we can take John and say, hey, now John's moved on. Maybe he moved into another team. Maybe he's, I don't know, within another one of these sub-accounts. So we can move him and we can push him down into any of these sub-accounts we want to. Next tab is settings. This is session length, which is the NCM NetCloud Manager session length. 2 hours is the longest time. By default, it's going to be 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, you'll get logged out and you'll have to relog back in. That can be painful depending on what you're doing. If you're working on a log configuration, that could be, you have to go back and log in many times. So we can force multi-factor authentication. We can also do enhanced login security. We can tick this, but here we'll tell you what that entails by clicking on that. We can also add a different system administrator. So as long as we have a system administrator assigned to this account, I, as a system administrator, can name somebody else. So I can say John. But if John is a system admin, and we create him a system admin, he can do this himself, which is great because if I happen to leave or whatever the case may be, I got a new job, whatever, got sick, something happened to me, then John can assume roles and responsibilities. If he's not a system administrator and I'm gone, it's painful. So just have a second system administrator. And I'll stick me back. And then subscriptions. This will give you all the subscriptions you have in your account. So it'll show all your routers, all your licenses, when the license took effect, and how long they're good for. We can also scroll down here and get some budgetary items or numbers that will be what it's going to cost roughly to get, in this case, 2 licenses, right? So then it shows you non-compliant devices, which we have none, and then unlicensed devices. And again, that's none. We can click on SAML, single sign-on. This is where you can set up your IDP, or identity provider, and go through that process to add it to whatever you have, whomever you have. And that is really it. If you guys have any further questions, be sure to let me know in the email, and it will, again, continue to push out more video and hopefully to help you out in the long run. Thanks for watching.